Well, hi there, Christy, all the way from Barnsley in the UK. I hope I've got the name right. Anyway, this is, I'll just show you quickly how I make my brushes, which has got a little stamp with my name on. There will be a charge for this. If you like it, then share my videos around with a few of your friends and your contacts. Okay, I've got basically just a blank document open. Doesn't matter what size it is, and I'm going to put some text on it. So I'm going to select my text tool and I'll click in the document, and I'll use quite a thick text. Impact Regular is a good one, but you can use any one, and I'll type my name, and I'll just get it positioned somewhere in the middle of the document and press enter. And if you want, we can have another set of text. I'll put, say, underneath, we'll put it in slightly smaller text. We'll have the word photography. And we want that a bit smaller, so I'm going to select it and we'll drag it down to, say, 18 points and just reposition it. And then I'll get the character palette, which is this little one up here. And in the character palette you can space the lettering out, so I'll just use the scrubby slider just to space that lettering out a little bit so it's just about fits across like that. And that's, yeah, looks okay. That'll look to do. I'll just zoom in, just have a bit like, yeah, that don't look bad, that don't look bad. So I don't need that now, I don't need the character palette. So what I'm going to do now is, if you see with this, let's say I've got my Ken Fisher layer active, if I use the opacity to reduce that opacity, if I can take it right down to 0 and it disappears, that's no opacity at all. Now the flow or fill works really differently. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an effect on my name. So I'm going to double click right in this corner on the layer, and it'll bring up the layer styles panel, and in here I'm going to go down and choose drop shadow, and I'm going to put I'm going to have to double click on it to make sure that you get to the drop shadow dialog, and I'm going to move this angle round so that it's the drop shadow shining a little bit in an upward direction. I'll just play around with the distance and the spread just to give me a decent drop shadow, and then I'll click OK. And it looks a bit odd, but now if I reduce the fill instead of the opacity, if I take the fill right down to 0, all the lettering disappears, but it leaves the drop shadow, so it looks a little bit transparent, so you can see through it. And if you wanted, you could do the same with the word photography. What I'll do is I'll just click in there and just move it over a little bit to centralize it. Okay, let's imagine we've finished this now and we're happy with it and we want to define it as a brush. I'll just close down the paragraph panel, don't need that. Now what we're going to do, I need transparency in the background. So first thing I'm going to do is turn off that background layer, so I've now got transparency. Now I don't need this to be the whole piece of paper, all I need is just where the text is. So I'm going to grab my marquee tool, which is this rectangular marquee tool, and I'm going to click and drag just around the text, just defining that area. And what I'm going to do now is define that area as a brush. So I'll make sure that black is my foreground colour by just changing these round so black's at the front. And then I'm going to go to my edit menu. I'm going to go down to define brush preset. It'll come up and ask me to give it a name, and I'll call it, let's say, Ken Logo, and then click OK. And now I don't need these marching ants anymore, so I can press Ctrl and D to deselect. And now I'm going to go and select a brush. So you can see here I can click on my brush tool, and if we just move in, what we'll find is that the last brush now that we defined in the brush panel is the last brush that we did, which is this one. So let's go and switch that background layer back on again. And we can dump these layers, we don't need them, so I'm dragging them over the bin now. And now you can see I've got my brush. Now at the moment it's black. Because it's a brush, I can use the square brackets to make it bigger or smaller. So on any image I can just position it where I want it to be. I can just click and hey presto, we've got a logo. If you want it different colours, it's linked to the foreground colour. So if I now change that to say a blue colour, then I'll get a blue logo. Well, I hope that was useful. Have a look at some of my other videos. If there's anything you think that's worth sharing, please share it around with your friends. And if you have any other questions, if I can help, just drop me a message. I'll speak to you later. Bye for now.